If a dog barks at a kind face, maybe the face isn't that kind after all. The bell rang at Meadow Ridge Elementary like any other Thursday morning. Parents waved goodbye, backpacks bounced down tiled hallways, and the smell of syrupy breakfast. Bars still lingered in the cafeteria. Everything felt normal, except one thing. Axel, the school's newly assigned K-9 unit, wouldn't stop barking. The moment his paws crossed the threshold of the nurse's office, he froze and exploded in a frenzy. He barked like he was trying to tear a hole through the air itself, fixated on the woman inside. Nurse Brianna Hale, the soft-spoken school nurse, known for her cozy cardigans and peppermint candy bowl. At first, people laughed nervously. He probably smelled the antiseptic, someone said. Or maybe Brianna's got a beef jerky sandwich in her desk, joked Mr. Carson, the gym teacher. But Officer Tyler Greer, the young K-9 handler assigned to Axel, didn't laugh. He'd seen this behavior once before, when Axel uncovered a predator posing as a substitute teacher in another district. It wasn't about smells or jerky. It was about secrets. And Axel never barked without a reason. Tyler gave a subtle tug on the leash. Easy, bud. Axel didn't budge. His entire body stayed rigid, eyes locked on the nurse's every move. The barking intensified when Brianna stepped forward, smiling awkwardly. "It's okay, officer," she said. "Maybe your dog doesn't like peppermint." But her voice had a quiver to it, the kind of quiver Tyler had been trained to notice. By lunch, the story spread through the teacher's lounge. Axel had a moment. Maybe he's still adjusting. Nurse Brianna? Come on, she's practically a grandma to these kids. But Tyler wasn't convinced. He reviewed hallway footage from earlier that week. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, until he noticed a pattern. Several kids from lower grades had been sent to the nurse's office for stomach aches, headaches, or just needing a nap. Only the visits always happened during odd times, right before recess or right after dismissal. And one girl in particular kept showing up. Her name was Addie Monroe, 7 years old. Bright, curious, a fan of unicorn stickers and purple shoelaces. But the last 2 times she visited the nurse, she didn't return to class. And no official parent pickup was logged. The next morning, Axel did it again. The moment he passed the nurse's office, he growled deep in his chest. His fur bristled. He clawed at the tile floor, refusing to move. Tyler waited until Brianna stepped out with a warm smile and a fresh apple in hand. "Morning, Officer Greer. Need a Band-Aid for the big boy here?" Axel lunged, not to attack but to block the hallway between Brianna and the direction of the first-grade classrooms. Tyler tightened the leash, heart racing. That afternoon, Addie came back to the office again, this time escorted by Brianna herself. Addie looked pale, walking slowly like her legs were tired. She didn't speak, didn't make eye contact. She flinched when Brianna touched her shoulder. That night, Tyler made a decision. He sent an anonymous tip to the school board. Unusual. Canine alert behavior toward school nurse. Recommend external review. And while the red tape wound its usual slow dance, Tyler turned to the one source who might break the case wide open. The kids. He visited Addie's classroom the next morning, under the pretense of K-9 safety and animal behavior training. Axel performed basic commands, played dead, even let the children pet his fur. Everyone laughed, except Addie. She stayed in the back, knees curled up on her seat, eyes darting to the hallway. When Tyler brought Axel closer, the dog did something he hadn't expected. He sat quietly in front of Addie and let out a soft whimper. Not a bark, not a growl. A whimper. Tyler knelt. "Hey, Addie, do you like dogs?" She didn't answer right away. But then she whispered, "This one is special." He smiled. "Yeah, I think he knows things. Would you believe me if I told you?" He knows when someone's hurting? Addie blinked. Her lips trembled. Did someone hurt you? She didn't nod, didn't shake her head. Instead, she reached into her pencil pouch and pulled out a crumpled sticky note with the word, "Please look inside the green cabinet. If you're moved by brave animals like Axel who speak when no one else dares to, please consider subscribing to Heroes for Animals. Your support helps us share true stories of loyalty, courage, and the bond between animals and the people they protect." That afternoon, Tyler waited until the nurse stepped out to take a call. He approached the green cabinet in the nurse's room. It wasn't locked. Inside were rows of labeled medicine bottles. But one shelf had unmarked vials, small syringes with numbers scribbled in red ink. Behind the vials was a folded notebook, labeled only, "Trials, Level 1-3. His pulse spiked. He took photos, closed the cabinet, acted normal. Until Monday morning, when FBI agents showed up in black jackets, and Axel barked one last time, not in warning, but in triumph. By the time the FBI entered Meadow Ridge Elementary, word had already spread like wildfire. Most people assumed it was a misunderstanding, maybe a security drill or a suspected threat. But behind the closed doors of the school nurse's office, the truth was slowly being unwrapped, layer by layer. Axel, ever calm now, sat obediently beside Officer Tyler Greer, his handler who waited in silence outside the nurse's room. Inside, 2 federal agents examined the green cabinet. One of them, Agent Serena Mahoney, flipped through the small notebook Tyler had discovered, her gloved fingers moving slowly as her brow furrowed. Level 1-3. Different dosages, different days, and initials next to each name, she murmured. The cabinet didn't just contain illegal sedatives. It held records, patterns, a blueprint of something that went far beyond school healthcare. Back in the main office, Principal Durbin tried to act unfazed, though he paced the floor like a man walking across thin ice. "This has to be a mistake," he insisted. "Nurse Hale has been with us for 5 years. She has recommendations, clean background check. Parents love her." Tyler remained calm. "With all due respect, sir, Axel doesn't bark at people unless he senses something dangerous. We've trained him with real cases." Durbin's jaw twitched. "We'll cooperate. I just hope we're not ruining an innocent woman's life over a barking dog and a sticky note." That same afternoon, Brianna Hale was escorted from school, property for questioning. She didn't resist. She didn't cry. She just looked at Tyler as they passed and said calmly, "You've made a mistake." But Tyler saw something else in her eyes, not anger, not fear, something colder, something rehearsed, and yet the faculty still doubted the dog. Meanwhile, Addie Monroe was back home. She hadn't spoken much since handing over the sticky note. Her mother, Tracy Monroe, a single parent juggling 2 jobs, had always assumed Addie was just shy. A quiet girl who didn't make waves. Now she sat curled up on the couch, her favorite unicorn blanket pulled to her chin, Axel lying protectively at her feet. "Did she ever tell you about anything unusual at school?" Tyler asked gently. Tracy shook her head. "Just that Nurse Hale was kind. She always let Addie rest when she had headaches." Addie's voice came quietly. "She said the medicine would help me stay calm, so I wouldn't cry in class." Tracy's face went pale. "What medicine, baby?" Addie didn't respond. Tyler leaned forward. "Did she give you something that made you sleepy?" A tear slid down Addie's cheek. "I don't remember what happened after." The agents later confirmed the unmarked vials contained benzodiazepines, anti-anxiety sedatives with memory suppression effects. They were being administered off-record to at least 6 children. Each one had visited the nurse's office during episodes of anxiety or emotional distress. But instead of referring them for counseling or calling home, Nurse Hale had taken it upon herself to quiet them down in her own way. The notebook also, included a section labeled Observations, Parental Absence as Trigger, with notes on which students had single parents, unstable home life, or history of acting out. She had targeted the most vulnerable. By Wednesday, FBI forensic teams uncovered a second flash drive hidden inside the false bottom of a drawer. On it were voice memos, each titled by date and student initials. She responded well to a 5-dose. More, irritable today, will increase to 1 millimeters tomorrow. Mother unaware, trust level stable. The memos weren't just creepy, they were methodical. It wasn't enough to charge her yet. Not fully, but they had probable cause to hold her. And then, something broke the case. Another student, Noah Jenkins, age 8. He'd recently been transferred from another school and was known to have mild autism. His teacher, Ms. Abernathy, said he had become strangely docile over the last month, sleeping in class, losing his appetite, not reacting to social cues like he used to. When his parents were brought in, his mother burst into tears. She said it was stress, that it was normal. She gave us pamphlets about anxiety and said not to worry. Agent Mahoney gently asked, "Did Nurse Hale ever give Noah medication?" She said she gave him vitamins in a smoothie. Tyler spoke. May we ask if Noah drew anything recently? The mom returned the next day with a folded piece of paper from Noah's backpack. The drawing was childlike and unsettling. It showed a cartoonish version of Nurse Hale standing beside a bed, holding a syringe with red liquid. Lying on the bed was a small boy with X marks over his eyes. Above the nurse, in shaky crayon writing, it read, "This is my dream almost every day." The case cracked wide open. By Friday, Brianna Hale was officially arrested on charges of unauthorized drug administration to minors, child endangerment, and intentional suppression of behavior through chemical intervention. It wasn't just illegal, it was unconscionable. Axel, once just the new dog, was now being hailed a hero. Students asked for stickers with his face. A local news crew came by to film a short piece called "The Dog Who Barked for the Silenced," but Tyler didn't smile for cameras. He stood near the playground, watching Addie hold Axel's paw like it was a lifeline. He kept thinking about the sticky note. Why had she written it at all? Why trust a dog and a stranger? Addie answered that question herself the next day when she handed Tyler a note written in purple marker. Because Axel didn't need me to speak. He already knew. It had been 4 days since Brianna Hale was escorted out of Meadow Ridge Elementary in handcuffs. Her mugshot made the local news, and the district sent out an apologetic email to parents filled with vague phrases like unexpected, violation of student trust, and internal procedural review. But for Officer Tyler Greer, the case didn't feel finished. Neither did it for Axel, who had gone from barking at the nurse to pacing around the now vacant nurse's office door, tail low, ears back, growling softly every time they passed. That behavior had stopped when Hale was removed, but now it had returned, and this time, it was aimed at someone else. On Monday morning, a substitute nurse named April Sullivan had been assigned to cover the school clinic temporarily. She was gentle, older, with reading glasses and a tired smile. No red flags, clean background. Still, when Axel crossed the main hallway during his routine check, he froze again. Not as aggressive as before, no barking or lunging, but a deep, steady growl rose from his throat when he caught a scent at the door. April looked up and chuckled. Is that because I smell like my old golden retriever? I promise I don't. Bite. Tyler forced a smile. He's usually good with strangers. Might just be nerves. But it wasn't nerves, it was instinct. Later that day, Principal Durbin called Tyler into his office. I'm going to need Axel to stay off campus for a few days. Tyler frowned. Why? Some parents are saying he's scaring the kids. We appreciate what he did, but things are calming down now. And honestly, there's no reason for a K-9 unit anymore. Tyler wasn't surprised. Cover-ups didn't always come in the form of lies. Sometimes they came as soft silences, polite redirections. "We're just trying to move forward," Durbin added. Tyler nodded, but something felt off. "You're saying there's no threat. But what if the real problem didn't leave with Nurse Hale?" Durbin's eyes tightened. "Are you accusing someone else?" "I'm listening to my dog," Tyler said. "He hasn't been wrong yet." Axel stayed with Tyler that evening, pacing the apartment like he used to after difficult cases. Not anxious, alert. That's when Tyler revisited something from the notebook, a page with only initials. AS marked beside certain notes from Nurse Hale's audio logs, confirmed dosage with AS. AS said skip Thursday, possible visit from district. At the time, Tyler had assumed it was just shorthand or something random, but now, AS could mean April Sullivan, the substitute nurse. Except, April wasn't even hired until after Hale's arrest, right? He checked the district database, and that's when the first twist hit. April Sullivan wasn't new to the district. She had worked at a sister school, Brook Meadow Intermediate, for 7 years. Quietly transferred last spring. No red flags in the file, but then Tyler called a contact at Brook Meadow, an old friend, Officer Chris Leone, who also handled a K-9 unit there. "Yeah, I remember her," Chris said. "Weird vibe. Loved giving out vitamins to kids all the time. Some parents raised concerns, but it got brushed under the rug." "Any incidents reported?" Tyler asked. "None that made it into the files. Just whispers. You know how it goes." That night, Tyler sat staring at Axel, who lay at the foot of the bed, eyes locked on the front door as if expecting someone to walk in. "Did we just take down the wrong end of the rope?" Tyler murmured. The next day, he brought Axel back to campus, not for duty but as a visitor, just a walkthrough, casual. No one stopped him. They passed the main office. Axel was fine. Past the cafeteria, fine. Past the nurse's station, and froze. April stood near the file cabinet, not noticing the pair right away. She was typing something into her personal tablet, her back turned. Axel let out one low guttural growl. April turned, startled. "Oh, hi again." Axel didn't move. He didn't bark. He just growled, steady, unwavering, as if trying to say, "Her." Tyler knew what he had to do. He contacted Agent Serena Mahoney and laid out everything, the initials in the notebook, the transfer from Brook Meadow, the similarities in behavior, Axel's reaction. "Why would she come back now?" Serena asked. "Either to cover up loose ends, or to finish what they started." They dug deeper, and what they found shocked them. April Sullivan had never been formally let go from Brook Meadow. Her file said transferred upon request, but a separate hidden memo from an internal HR investigation showed multiple staff had reported unusual student drowsiness following visits to Nurse Sullivan. No disciplinary action was ever taken. It was buried. That weekend, a quiet raid was organized, not on April's apartment, but on a storage unit registered in her name under a P.O. box. Inside, boxes of supplies, labeled vials, more handwritten notes, and in a folder titled Behavioral Response Protocol, Meadow Ridge Phase 2. The implications were horrifying. This wasn't just a rogue nurse with a power complex. It was a system. A plan. Target vulnerable kids, quiet them, monitor results, and perhaps report them to someone else. April Sullivan was arrested on a Sunday morning in a grocery store parking lot, calm, silent. When asked why she continued the experiments, she smiled faintly and said, "Because I believed in the work, and Brianna was never supposed to be caught." That night, Tyler sat on the back steps of his apartment, Axel lying beside him, head on his lap. "You knew," Tyler said softly. "Before we did. Before anyone did." Axel blinked once. In the distance, sirens echoed faintly. The dog didn't flinch. You'd think it would end there. 2 arrests, 2 women behind bars. Dozens of files recovered, children safe, parents breathing sighs of relief. That should have been the final chapter. But Axel didn't think so, and Officer Tyler Greer had learned long ago, when Axel acted like something was wrong, it usually meant things were worse than anyone expected. The Monday after April Sullivan's arrest, the school board called an emergency meeting, not to inform parents of the full truth, but to minimize panic. They called it an isolated procedural lapse. Tyler, who was seated near the back of the auditorium, clenched his jaw as the superintendent droned on. "There is no evidence of broader misconduct," he said. "We are cooperating fully with investigators." But Tyler knew that wasn't true. He'd seen the documents from the storage unit. Maps, timelines, initials, and something even more disturbing. A reference to an off-site medical consultant. Name redacted. Organization, Camberwell Behavioral Solutions. He looked it up that night. No website, no public office. Just a P.O. box in Colorado and a disconnected phone line, and on the last page of the file, a line of text scrawled in red ink. Pilot programs only thrive when no one notices. Back at home, Axel kept pacing. Not restless, but watchful. Like a soldier who knows the war isn't over just paused. Tyler sat on the couch staring at the photos pinned to his wall. Hale, Sullivan, the vials, the voice memos, the names of the children. He drew red thread between the links just like they do in every detective movie. But this wasn't a movie. This was real. And the red threads didn't stop with the school nurses. They went up. He visited Agent Serena Mahoney the next day at the FBI field office in Raleigh. She didn't look surprised when he walked in holding a folder. "I figured I'd see you soon," she said. "Axel still uneasy?" Tyler nodded. "And I think I know why." He laid out the files, especially the part about Camberwell Behavioral Solutions. Serena scanned them carefully, eyes narrowing. "I've seen this name before. Twice. Both times in cases related to unauthorized treatment of minors. One in Missouri, another in Idaho. But we never had enough to pin them. Always third-party subcontractors. Always redacted." She tapped the last page. "But this time, we have names." The FBI began cross-referencing records and found something chilling. Brianna Hale had received 2 wire transfers from a shell company linked to Camberwell. So had April Sullivan. But both transfers were dated months before either woman began working at Meadow Ridge, meaning they weren't acting on their own. They were sent in. Meanwhile, Meadow Ridge Elementary tried to sweep things under the rug. They rebranded the nurse's office. New paint, new nurse, a new safety protocol banner with pastel letters and balloons. Tyler was asked, again, not to bring Axel onto school grounds. "He makes the kids anxious," the vice principal said. But Tyler ignored the request. Instead, he visited Addie Monroe and her mom at their home that weekend. Addie had started speaking more, sleeping better. She even smiled now. She'd also drawn a new picture. Axel standing in front of the school, his tail like a shield in front of a line of smiling children. "Do you remember anything else?" Tyler asked gently. Addie nodded. "Miss April used to talk to someone on her phone. She always said, 'Yes, doctor,' even when no one was in the room." "Did she ever say the doctor's name?" "No," Addie whispered. "But once she said Dr. Lewin will be very pleased." That was the break. Dr. Keith Lewin, licensed psychologist based out of Boulder, Colorado. But not just a psychologist. He was listed as the founder of Camberwell Behavioral Solutions. He had ties to multiple education grants, special needs programs, and was a guest speaker on behavior modification in children. On paper, he looked legitimate, but no one had seen him in public for years. Tyler handed the name to Agent Mahoney. "Let's see what he's been hiding." That week, the FBI subpoenaed Dr. Lewin's financial records. He had funneled nearly $2.4 million into Pilot, School initiatives across 3 states under Camberwell's name, all tied to low-income districts with vulnerable populations. In every case there were matching patterns: unusually high nurse visits, unapproved medical interventions, sudden behavioral shifts in children. But what sent chills down Tyler's spine wasn't the funding. It was Axel's reaction when he was shown a video still of Dr. Lewin taken during a university lecture 5 years ago. Axel stared at the image on the screen and growled, not a whimper, not hesitation. It was the same growl he'd given Brianna Hale and April Sullivan. The FBI moved in, but when they arrived at the address listed on Lewin's license, they found the house empty, dust-covered, abandoned, but the basement had been used recently. It was sterile, tiled, cold, a single chair in the center, soundproofing foam on the walls, and behind a false panel in the bookshelf, a locked steel cabinet with case files marked with the Meadow Ridge school crest. He'd been watching, from a distance, pulling strings. That night, Tyler took Axel for a drive, not to chase suspects, just to breathe. They ended up at the school parked across the street. Axel stared through the windshield, still watching, still alert. "You knew from the beginning," Tyler whispered. "And now we're chasing a ghost." Axel looked at him, and then, for the first time in days, he wagged his tail. Because the trail wasn't cold. Not yet. The silence outside Meadow Ridge Elementary felt thicker than ever. Officer Tyler Greer sat in his patrol car across the street, headlights off. Beside him, Axel, his loyal K-9 partner, stared at the building like he expected it to move, like it might open its mouth and confess. Inside, it was just brick and books. But Tyler had learned something over the last few weeks. The ugliest things rarely live in dark alleys. They hide in plain sight. The FBI had searched Dr. Lewin's abandoned home for days. Surveillance footage showed nothing useful. No fingerprints, no digital trail. It was as if he had vanished. Still, Tyler couldn't let it go. "People like him don't stop," he told Agent Serena Mahoney. "They regroup." She agreed, but reminded him, "We're walking a fine line, Tyler. We don't have a warrant for anything beyond Colorado jurisdiction unless new evidence surfaces. We can't make arrests on instinct." But Axel didn't operate on jurisdiction. He operated on truth, and Axel wasn't done barking. At the department, Tyler started going through every file he could get access to, every connected school, every consultant tied to Camberwell Behavioral Solutions. That's when he noticed something odd in the Meadow Ridge contract logs. An IT services vendor named Interlink Diagnostics, approved 6 months ago to install secure wellness monitoring in multiple schools, including Meadow Ridge. Tyler squinted at the signature, S. Durbin. Principal Samuel Durbin. The same man who'd asked him to keep Axel off campus. The same man who had pushed to move on after Nurse Hale's arrest. Tyler showed the document to Serena. "This isn't just a software company. Interlink Diagnostics is another shell. It leads back to a funding source from Camberwell." Serena stared at it, then back at him. "You think Durbin knew?" Tyler didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew what it meant. It was no longer just about rogue nurses. This was systemic. The next morning, Tyler walked into Meadow Ridge with Axel at his side. Nobody stopped him. He went straight to the principal's office. Durbin sat behind his desk sipping coffee, his tie just slightly crooked. "Morning, officer. Can I help you?" "Just here to clear up some confusion," Tyler said. Axel sat beside him, ears alert. No barking. Not yet. "Did you authorize a third-party company to install anything in this building?" Tyler asked. Durbin chuckled nervously. "We have contracts with several tech services, officer. That's above my pay grade." "It's your signature." Durbin's fingers tightened around the coffee mug. "You're barking up the wrong tree." At the word barking, Axel stood, his hackles raised. Not barking. Growling. a deep rumbling warning that came from the center of his chest. Durbin froze. "Get your dog out of my office," he said, voice brittle. "He doesn't growl for fun," Tyler replied. "He smells deception." Axel took a single step forward. Durbin slammed his hand on the desk. "You've made your point, officer. Now get out." Tyler narrowed his eyes. With pleasure. But he'd gotten what he came for. Durbin was hiding something, and Axel knew it. That afternoon, Tyler met Serena in the parking lot behind the FBI office. She held a sealed envelope in her hand. Interlink Diagnostics made quarterly payments to Durbin's private LLC, she said, disguised as education consulting fees, nearly $75,000 over 6 months. Enough to look the other way, Tyler muttered, and to keep Axel off campus. They went to a judge that night. Got the warrant by morning. When they raided Durbin's home, it didn't take long to find it. A locked file cabinet in the garage, hidden behind camping gear. Inside, printed copies of emails between Durbin and Camberwell's legal counsel. Internal, memos discussing pilot phases, child compliance markers, and one email simply labeled, "Pending Phase 3 approval. Candidate, Addie Monroe." Tyler's blood turned cold. They had names. Specific children. They weren't just testing reactions, Serena said quietly. They were targeting personalities, seeing who responded best to conditioning. Tyler slammed the drawer shut. He drove straight to Addie's house. She was on the porch, coloring with sidewalk chalk. Axel jumped from the SUV and ran straight to her. She hugged him like a friend she hadn't seen in years. Tyler approached her mom, Tracy, who looked worried. "I heard something on the news about the principal." "It's true," Tyler said. He helped them choose which kids to test. Tracy put a hand to her mouth. "Why my daughter?" "Because she's kind, sensitive, quiet." That made her a perfect subject to them. Tracy wiped tears from her eyes. "Can we ever be safe again?" Tyler looked down at Axel, who hadn't taken his eyes off Addie since they arrived. "Yeah," he said, "because sometimes good dogs won't let bad people win." That night, Tyler sat with Serena going through the rest of the emails. But one message caught his eye. It was sent from a secure Camberwell address to Durbin, dated 3 days before Brianna Hale was arrested. "Ensure Tyler Greer is diverted. He's a liability. The dog especially. Use internal resources. Delay. Discredit if necessary." Tyler stared at it. They had been watching him before it even began. "Someone inside the department helped them," Tyler said quietly. "Someone I trusted." He looked at Axel, who was lying near the door. Just then, the dog's head snapped up. He growled, low, unmistakable. And then, a knock on the door. The knock came again, louder this time. Axel didn't move from the door. His growl was low and steady, lips curled slightly. Not rage, warning. Officer Tyler Greer stood silently beside his dog. His instincts flared. No one was supposed to know he and Agent Serena Mahoney were reviewing the Camberwell documents that night. And yet someone stood on the other side. He motioned for Serena to stay back and slowly opened the door. It was Detective Ron Beckett, from the precinct, a man Tyler had worked with for 4 years. "Evening," Beckett said casually, holding a paper bag with 2 coffees. "Heard you were pulling all-nighters again. Figured you could use a pick-me-up." Tyler didn't move. "You drove across town to bring me coffee?" "Thought I'd check in too," Beckett added, glancing over Tyler's shoulder. "Saw the raids on the news. Big case, lot of noise." Axel stepped between them, tail stiff, hackles up. Beckett smirked nervously. "What's with Cujo here? He forget I gave him jerky last Christmas?" Tyler narrowed his eyes. Axel only reacted like this to one thing. Danger. "You should go, Ron," Beckett's face changed, just slightly. The smile fell. You sure? That's how we're playing it? Tyler tensed. His fingers drifted near his belt, not his gun, his phone. Quietly, he tapped record. You worked with me for years, Beckett said, stepping forward. You think I'm part of that circus? I've got 2 kids at Meadow Ridge. I think you've got a lot more than that, Tyler said evenly. I think you've got answers. Beckett's jaw flexed. You weren't supposed to dig this far, Greer. He dropped the coffees, pulled a taser, fired. Tyler ducked, and Axel lunged. The dog hit Beckett's center mass, knocking the taser sideways as it clattered onto the floor. The detective yelled, shoving at Axel, but the dog had locked onto his arm, not tearing it, just pinning. Tyler rushed in and cuffed him. You were the one who cleared Hale's background. You buried the reports at Brook Meadow. You gave them my patrol schedule. Beckett didn't respond, just stared at Axel. He's just a dog, he muttered. Tyler leaned down. No, he's the reason you're not walking away. Beckett's arrest broke the case wide open. He wasn't just a dirty cop. He was Camberwell's internal protector, keeping law enforcement distracted, blocking reports, and ensuring that whistleblowers never got traction. Emails revealed he'd intercepted parent complaints, threatened teachers, and even deleted 2 hotline tips from a guidance counselor who suspected April Sullivan months ago. None of this could have worked without you, Serena told him during interrogation. Beckett shrugged. The system was broken. We were just making it efficient. Tyler stood across the room, staring through the glass. You drugged kids, Ron. I didn't touch anyone, but you let it happen. 2 weeks later, Meadow Ridge Elementary reopened with a new principal, a new nurse, and, thanks to public pressure, a state-level trauma team for every affected student. Axel, he became a legend. Children brought him drawings, teachers brought him bacon. A statue was even proposed, though Tyler refused it. He doesn't need a monument, he told the school board. He just needs to keep doing what he was born to do. One afternoon, Tyler brought Axel to visit Addie Monroe again. She had started therapy and was doing better. Smiling. Sleeping. Guess what? She whispered, kneeling beside Axel. I wrote a poem for him. She handed Tyler a page. Crayon scribbled but beautiful. He doesn't need words to say what's wrong. He hears our silence like a song. He barks for truth. He growls at lies. He saved my heart. With loyal eyes. Tyler had to look away for a second. A week later, the FBI officially shut down Camberwell Behavioral Solutions. Dr. Lewin was still missing, but his empire had collapsed. But Tyler knew the work wasn't over. People still tried to hurt the most vulnerable, which meant Axel still had a job to do. That night, Tyler sat on the back steps of his home, Axel curled up beside him, the stars just blinking into view. He looked down at his partner. You saved them, he said. They'll never understand just how close they came to being forgotten. Axel thumped his tail once. Tyler smiled. It's weird, isn't it? You don't speak, but somehow you're the one who told the whole story. Sometimes the ones who can't speak are the ones who see the most. Truth doesn't always come from the loudest voices, but from those who never give up until justice is done. If Axel hadn't barked, how long would it have taken before someone finally listened to the kids? And in your own life, are there things that need to be barked at before it's too late?